I asked the pastor if I could say some words about my grandpa today, and we thought now would be a good time. So I'm a little nervous about this. You'll have to forgive me if I get tripped up on words or whatever, but I'll do the best I can. You heard the pastor say he was born June 20th, 1919, passed away February 7th, 2011. I don't think anybody has the stats on how long he was or how much he weighed. I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest he was probably pretty little. Just thinking maybe. So I hear it a lot. I got my height from him. How could he have known when he was born that he would go 91 years? 91 years is a heck of a long time. He stepped into life and went 91 rounds. I think we all can appreciate and respect that. Some of those rounds were pretty tough. He lost his mother at an early age. When he was 10 when the Depression hit. He knew poverty. He knew what it was like to go to bed hungry. He shared a little bit of that with me when I got a chance to sit down and talk with him at one point. When his country called him, he served. He went to WW2, the darkest period of our nation's history. Some of those other tough rounds that he went through for 91 rounds, some of the other tough ones had to be the loss of grandchildren and a great-granddaughter. And of course, the loss of his wife, my grandma. But he had some good rounds. I figure there's about 43 living people right now that he's personally in some way, shape, or form responsible for. Good kids, good grandkids, great-grandchildren, and then a couple of great-great-granddaughters, I think, were at his service up here this afternoon. So that's pretty neat stuff. Countless friends. If you get a chance to get online and read some of the comments that people have made, some neat stuff, some neat stories about my grandpa. Extended family that's here, co-workers. He touched a lot of people's lives, and it's no accident that they're good people. His livelihood, the pastor mentioned some of those things. I know he worked for the Civilian Conservation Corps during the Depression. It's part of the New Deal plan. He was a Navy mechanic, farmer, of course. I knew him as a bus driver and a mechanic. I had a teacher once, as a high school kid or school kid, you don't think about this. The pastor referred to it. But I had a teacher once said, I go wherever I go, whether I'm on a field trip or I go to a teacher's meeting or something, and I tell them, I'm from Meridosha, I teach at Meridosha Chambersburg High School. They say, oh, that's the school with the clean buses. Every school's got to be known for something. We had some clean buses right there. That was Mr. Henderson. He loved driving his grandkids. He went to the athletic events. He loved picking them up, seeing them every day, and that's a special part of the job that he had, and I think part of the reason he appreciated it so much. Another friend sent me an email yesterday, and it said, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your grandpa. Every event that I can remember in high school, he was there. And that's, he was there. He was there. He was at all those things. I learned a story about him yesterday online from Charlotte Tegeter. She said at the last day of every school year, he took the whole bus to Dosh Dairy Delight for ice cream. I had no idea. I would have finagled my way on that bus at least once, I think. And how do you think about the bus driving without the chewing tobacco? I'm sure every kid that rode the bus could tell you it was just when he went to touch the brake, there was going to be spit going out that other side window. That's the way it works. He apparently he had a few vices in addition to tobacco. Some of them I wasn't so aware of. My grandma often pointed them out, though. She tended to point out that he was a little ornery time to time. I had no idea. I just thought that was my grandpa. I just thought that was the way you were supposed to be. She would say, oh, he'll embarrass you. You can't take him anywhere. He'll say anything, anytime. Yeah, that was my grandpa. That was true. And my grandpa, I learned this about him over time. My grandma was his partner, and that was a big part. They enjoyed, they could both dish it out and they could both take it. And he needed that. When she died in 1997, that's a pretty important piece of his puzzle. And I was talking to one of the CNAs in the nursing home the other day, and she said There's another CNA, he won't do anything she says. He doesn't listen to a word. He does everything I say. I'm thinking, yep, that's my grandpa. And I think it's important that I say something, and I don't know if my grandpa did, but I really want to say it, and I think it's important. When my grandma died, my grandpa still needed somebody to step in and help him, help get him clothes, help do, make sure that he's feeding himself. And sometimes to take that, little ornery, embarrassing abuse that he liked to give. Aunt Judy, thank you for what you did for him those years. I mean, that means a lot. It's hard. He had some, I had one of my coworkers, when they found out my grandpa died, they said, was he the kind of guy who liked everybody? I said, well, I said, yeah, let me tell you somebody that he doesn't like. I said, he doesn't like Tony La Russa, the manager of the Cardinals. But I said, he loved the Cardinals. He's a big Cardinal fan. But I tell you what, he loved Lou Brock. He loved Curt Flood. He loved Ozzie Smith. But I said, if any of those guys would have showed up at his house, I don't know that he would have trusted them very far. He loved baseball, and he was always listening. My Uncle Pete was just saying, as long as he could remember, as long as I could remember, he listened to the Cardinals. My grandma used to say he knew what they were doing even when he was taking a nap in the chair. He could still tell you what the score was when he woke up. Whether it was late night games or early games, he always seemed to have that radio going playing the Cardinals. He loved Illinois basketball too. He watched that later in life a lot. I never knew my grandpa was a card player. Some of you may have. I didn't know him as a card player, but I guess that, 57 years, Grandma was his most loyal Saturday night partner. It was a regular routine. They played cards. And speaking of Grandma, she was at 16 when she met him. They married in Palmyra, I believe, when she was 18. A few years before she passed away, she was given a notebook to write down some of her memories. And one of the things that I found interesting that she wrote in there, it's how prophetic it would have been. The question was in there, when you were dating Grandpa, did you ever get mad at him? And she answered, I got mad at him several times. I said, yes, that seems about right. And she was that sparring partner. He went 91 rounds. She was the sparring partner, and she was good at it. Last July, I think it was, when got to the point where the doctor said he might have 2 days to live. And here we are 6-7 months later, whatever the number is. I can hear my grandma saying, he doesn't listen. You can't tell him he's got 2 days to live because he just doesn't hear a thing you say. And that's probably true. He, probably went in one ear and out the other. And that's my grandpa. But you know what? When she got sick with cancer, he's the one, he took care of her. He cooked, he cleaned, he did those things. I was sorry to hear of his passing, but I also thought it was a positive thing. I called two of my uncles and my aunt, and my Aunt Judy said, he's in a better place. He's going to be with Grandma, and they're probably bickering already. And that's a good thought, everybody. That's a good thought. He's a good man, and I thank every one of you for being here.